morning, class. Today we'll be discussing about retail price, which is a continuation chapter of the previous one, retail product. So in the previous product we have discussed about what product is, what merchandising is, how we are going to calculate OTB, what assortment is, and then we have discussed what basic things that we need to see in designing our store layout. And then we have discussed about displays, shelf spacing, and then we have discussed about store layout design, the two models. So today we'll be discussing about retail price. So in this chapter we'll discuss about what pricing is and how we are going to set price, what are the basic pricing strategies, and then different other issues. But before we discuss about what price is and what pricing is, let's discuss about certain terminology that is used in discount and that of in shipping. So in the discount we have five terminologies that we use much often. So this includes trade discount, quantity discount, promotional discount, seasonal discount, and that of cash discount. In the shipping terms, we have FOB factory and FOB destination, that you have discussed these terms in your import-export policy and procedure in the first semester. So when you say trade discount, it is an incentive. When you say discount in general terms, it is an incentive to motivate, to appreciate the retailers. So when you say trade discount, it is an incentive or a discount that is provided for retailers by manufacturers or producers, so that the retailers could cover the costs, different other costs, like that of transportation or some other costs. So it is known as trade discount. When you say quantity discount, it is an incentive or a discount that is provided for the buyers, so that the buyers, meaning the retailers, will be stimulated to purchase large quantities of a certain product or from the company, from the suppliers. So when we discuss about quantity discount, we have two terminologies: non-cumulative quantity and that of cumulative quantity discount. So when you say non-cumulative quantity discount, it is a type of quantity discount, but the difference is in the non-cumulative quantity discount, it is only in a single purchase, meaning when a retailer make a purchase in meaning a one-time purchase, the company or the manufacturer or the producers provide the retailer with a discount, but it is only for a single purchase, one-time purchase. It may not be repeated purchase. So when you say cumulative quantity discount, it is a type of discount when the retailers purchase again and again, meaning they accumulate a kind of pointers. So when that point reaches to a certain stage, then the manufacturers or the producers provide retailers with discount. Just to clarify this issue, let's see one example. When you take Sheba Miles, for instance, Sheba Miles provide you with discounts, but you only get the discounts after a certain mileage. When you reach to a certain mileage, then Sheba Miles provide you with discounts or free mileage. So it is known as cumulative quantity discount. So in this case, the retailers purchase not only one time but repeatedly, and then they will accumulate points. So when the purchase reaches to a certain point, the manufacturers or retailers provide you with discounts. But in the case of non-cumulative quantity discount, it is only when you purchase one time. So this is the difference between non-cumulative quantity discount and that of cumulative quantity discount. The third type of discount is promotional discount. So this type of discount is provided for retailers so that the retailers promote the company's product. So the retailers provide them with a better shelf space. So we have discussed about shelf space in the previous chapter. So whenever the retailer provides the manufacturers or producers a better promotion, a better advertising, a better display, a better shelf space, the manufacturers will provide them with discounts. So this type of discount is known as promotional discount. When you say seasonal discount, it is a type of discount that is provided for retailers when the retailers purchase the product on the off-season uh, times, meaning whenever the demand of that product is low, but the retailers purchase those type of products, then the manufacturers provide them with a discount. So it is known as a seasonal discount. A cash discount is a type of incentive or discount that the manufacturer provide for retailers because the retailer pays off the bills in the time allocated or on time. So it is known as cash discount. So these are types of discounts that you might hear much often when you are in a retail business. In the shipping terms, we have FOB factory and that of FOB destination. When you say FOB factory or free on board factory, it is all about ownership, transferability, and that of risk. When you say FOB factory, the ownership is transferred when the product or that merchandise dispatched from the factory's warehouse. So the ownership will be transferred to the retailers when that merchandise leaves or dispatched from the factory's warehouse. Then it is known as FOB factory, meaning that the risks will be transferred to the retailer when the merchandise or the product is loaded into the transport system and leaves the company's warehouse. When you say FOB destination, in other hand, the ownership will be transferred when that merchandise is delivered to the retailers, meaning the transportation cost, the risk, the ownership will stay with the manufacturer until it is delivered to the retailer. So these are the two shipping terms, FOB factory and that of FOB destination. So these are the main terminologies that you hear much often when we discuss about retail and retail pricing, retail mixes in general. So saying that, when we come to the definition of price and that of pricing, we can see price into different categories. The simplest definition of price and a broader definition of price. The first bullet shows you the narrowest or the simplest sense of price, and the second one explains price in a little bit broader terms. So when we discuss in simple terms, when you say price, it is the amount of money charged for a product or a service, meaning whenever the customers pays a certain amount of money, then that is a price. So it is limited and it is the simplest definition of price. When you come to the broader sense or the broader definition of price, it says it is the sum of values that the customers gives for the retailers in order to gain or in order to have a certain benefits from that product or service. So whenever the benefits of the product or the service is higher and higher, then the value the customers provide for retailers will get higher and higher. whenever the benefits of that product or service is lower and lower, then the value of uh, the value that the customers gives for the retailers will get lower. The difference between the two is, in here it is strictly discussed about monetary. It only says prices in terms of monetary, in terms of money. But in the second, in the broadest sense, when you say price, it's not just about monetary. It means it's not just about money, but it might be non-monetary values. The second definition will give you a little bit broader concepts. So when you say value, it's not only money or monetary terms, but it might be in terms of non-monetary terms. For instance, when you purchase certain products by exchanging with another product, then that's also a kind of price. You give some value for retailers for the benefit that specific retailer provides you, but it's not in terms of money. So it is also price. So when you think of price in this concept, the exchange of certain value exists. You will get a certain value from the retailers, and the retailers get a certain value from the customers. So this is what price is by definition. I suggest you use the second definition because it will give you more sense than the first one. So when you think of price, historically, price has a major factor or a major influence in the customer's buying choice. Uh, the one issue that customers think in purchasing a certain product was price. But recently, in recent years, it's not just price that the customers consider when purchasing a certain product, but we have non-price factors. There are different non-price factors like that of locations and other issues, economic and so on. So when you think of price, it is changed from being a major factor than to a little bit less factor, but it doesn't mean that price is, you know, price doesn't matter no more. It really do. Price is a very sensitive issue that you need to consider. We'll discuss this issue later on. And then when you think of price, it is the only marketing mix that generates or provides revenue for retailers and for the company. When you think of product, when you think of placement, when you think of promotion and other marketing mixes in terms in the case of services, they generate expenses or costs rather than revenue. But when you think of price, it provides you with revenue. So price is the only marketing mix that generates or produces revenue for the company. For instance, when you produce a certain product, you exert or you'll have a cost, you'll incur expenses. When you think of promotion, meaning when you think of advertising and communicating with your customers, again you will incur costs, you have expenses. When you think of dispatching or distributing the product just from point A to point B, again you will incur costs. But when you think of price, it will generate you revenue. So price is the only marketing mix that generates revenue. So when you think of pricing, when you say pricing, it is a method and a technique to determine the value or the price of your products and services. So when you say products and services, I'm differentiating it in here, but services is also part of product. But for discussion's sake, let's discuss as product and that of service. So when you say pricing, it is a method and technique to determine and to set your values or your price. So when you say price, it is a value, right? So whenever you set the value for your product and uh, services, then it is known as pricing. In general terms, whenever you think of businesses, all businesses, every business operates primarily to gain a certain profits, all benefits. I mean, all businesses. It is they work to generate a profit, to gain profit. For instance, you might take NGOs, you might take religious centers like that of churches and mosques and others, but uh, when you see the businesses, they are focusing to generate a profit. When you say profit, it might be monetary profit, it might be non-monetary profits. So let's think of any NGO. So when they provide you with community services or other services, they expect a certain profit from providing that service, emotional benefits. Uh, Churches and mosques, when you go to church and mosque for praying and so on, it is thinking that you will get a certain profit, but the profit might not be monetary profits. It might be non-monetary profit, like that of emotions like happiness or relaxation and so on. So whenever you think of a business, it is uh, profit based. There is no organization that doesn't think of profits. So, and profits will be generated by price. So price is also a sensitive mix. Of course, it is the only mix that generates revenue, and it is also a very sensitive mix from the others. You can change it easily, but still it is sensitive. When you say sensitive, a little bit of change, a little amount of price change might shift the customers from your company to competitors' company. We'll discuss about this last issue when you go to the other slides. So there are different factors that affect your price. So when you think of price, you should think about the other factors too. For instance, if the product is higher quality, when you say product, uh, we are discussing about product cost, we are discussing about product quality and that of brands too. But when the product's quality is higher, immediately what you think as a customer is the price will also be higher. Uh, when someone says the product quality is low, immediately as a customer what you think about the price is a lower price. When you think of brand, uh, when someone says this brand is very known brand and high class brand, immediately what you think is the price of that specific brand is higher. For instance, let's compare two products. Let's say Sony, Samsung, and that of Techno or any other. So compared to the brand, Sony, Samsung might get higher brands, known brands. So you might think, well, Samsung is a little bit expensive than Techno or the Sony. When you say expensive, that I don't mean that in terms of monetary, but when you think of expense, you should compare it with quality. There is a saying, cheap is expensive. We'll discuss that in a bit, but they say cheap is expensive. But when I say expensive in these terms, it means higher price, right? So Samsung will be a higher price, then Sony will be a little bit, comparative to that of Samsung, and that of when you think of Techno, you might think the price is a little bit lower than the other two. So product brand, product cost, product quality, and so on. Demand is also has a direct relation with price. The higher the demand, the higher the price. The lower the demand, the lower the price. Meaning, whenever there is a higher customer that requires the brand, that specific product, then the price of that product will get higher and higher. So demand has a direct relation with that of price. Utility is also has a direct relation with price. Utility means value that provide for the customers. Competition is also another factor that affects your price. Whenever there is higher competition, meaning whenever there is alternative products, substitute products, or competitive products in the market, then the price of that product will be somehow similar or a little bit lower. So this is another factor that you need to consider. Government and legal issues or legal regulations is also another factor. For instance, in some cases, the government might set uh, a price limit for some products. So government's regulations, policies, and so on is also another factor that you need to consider in price. Place or location is also another one. For instance, if you could acquire the product in many retail stores, or if you could acquire the products everywhere, then eventually the price of that product will be lower. If the product is not available everywhere, then the product's price will be higher. You can take uh, practical examples. Let's take sugar and that of salt. So when you compare the two products, sugar is not available everywhere, and there is a problem of supply, whether it is man-made or natural, but there is scarcity of sugar, so you cannot find those products everywhere, so eventually the price will be higher. uh, when you take salts, you can acquire the product everywhere, and you don't use it much often, so the price of that product will be lower. The other factor is price objectives or objectives in general. Whenever you think of objectives, we'll discuss this issue in the next slide. So whenever you think of pricing objectives, you have five basic objectives: survival, increasing or maximizing current profits, meaning short term, maximizing your market share, which is long term, market scheming, product quality leadership. So these are the basic objectives of price. So let's start with survival, and we'll go to the product quality leadership eventually. So when you think of price objective as a survival, it means that the company is almost in a decline stage. If you remember product life cycle in product development and brand management course, we have a kind of life cycle, the ideal life cycle, meaning starting from introduction stage to the decline stage. So in the survival, when you use survival, it means the company is in almost in the decline stage. It's reaching to the decline stage. It is about to leave the market or the industry. So the survival is you are going to lower your price. Probably you are going to set the price equal to your cost, as your fixed cost, as well as your variable cost, the total cost, right? So when you set your price equal to the total cost, there is no gain, there is no loss. So you are just trying to survive, you are just trying to stay in the market, and eventually you are trying to cope up with the competitors and get back to the maturity stage. So this is known as survival. You are going to lower the price to the level of your total cost. So it is known as survival objective or survival strategy. The second is market maximizing the current profits, meaning you want to maximize your short-term profits. You are going to increase the price because maybe the demand and supply issue, or because of seasonality, meaning that when the demand is higher than the supply, then you are going to increase the price so that you can increase or maximize your profit, but it is short term. The second scenario is whenever the product is seasonal. Whenever the product is seasonal, in specific seasons, when the demand is at peak, you are going to increase the price, but it is still short term. Whenever it is off season, meaning whenever the demand is going down or lowering, then we are going to decrease your price too. So it is fluctuating price. So you are going to increase the profits for short term, and this is known as maximizing the current profit. That is the second objective. The third objective is to capture market share, a larger market share. Then it is known as market penetration pricing strategy. You are going to lower your prices, not lower as that of the survival. We have said in the survival you are going to lower the price to the level of your total costs, but in the third, when you say to attract a larger market share, you are going to lower the price, but not to the level of your total cost. So whenever you are lowering your prices, much customers will be attracted to your retailers than your competitors. So you are going to increase your market share, and then you are going to acquire profits through volume of sales. So we'll discuss about these issues, by the way, in the next slides when we discuss about cost plus pricing and so on. The fourth is market scheming. So market scheming usually is used when the product is new product or innovative products. So when you say market scheming, it is setting higher prices so that you can take the profits, the higher scheme from the claim from the market or from the industry. So market scheming is when you are going to make your price, or when you set your price higher and attract the profits from that price. So this is known as market scheming. When you say product quality leadership, you are thinking about making your products unique and setting your prices higher. Again, in the product quality leadership, your price is higher, but the difference between the fourth and the fifth is, in the fourth it is innovative products, it is a new product, but when you say product quality leadership, it is unique price. Unique product. The products might be available in the market, but your product is a unique product. Your product is a luxury product, luxury goods. So it is known as product quality leadership. So these are the basic objectives of pricing survival. Profits maximization, meaning short-term profit maximization, market share maximization, market scheming, and that of product quality leadership. If you read this statement, it says every firm operates with the ultimate objective of earning profits, and therefore the price of a product must be set keeping in mind the cost incurred in its production along with the benefits it offers for which people are ready to pay extra. Meaning, whenever you set your price, whenever you think of developing your pricing strategies, whenever you think of determining the price, you need to think about the cost of production. When you say the cost of production, it includes the fixed costs and the variable costs. And then you need to think about the benefits that your product will offer to the customers. so that you can make the customers to pay extra for that specific product, meaning you could convince the customers the price that you set is a fair price than the competitors in regard to that of the product and the service that you are providing. So you need to think about these basic two issues: cost and that of benefits that you will provide for the customers, because you are thinking about profits. So if this is price and pricing, why it is important to discuss about price, why it is important to know and study about price, how we are going to set price, what are the different strategies that you have to set or determine the price, what is the importance. Number one, price is important because it represents your assessment, your value in terms of the customer's eye, meaning your price will say something about your product, your service, and your company in the minds of the customers. When you set your price higher, the customers think that your product is a better quality, your product is a better product, you are giving a better benefit than the competitors. But you need to take care when setting the price, because if you set your price higher than the benefits that the product provides for the customers, then the customers will never and ever purchase your products again, and you will develop a bad word of mouth. So it is a disastrous for your company. But price will say something about your product's value in the customer side. So that is why you need to study about price. That's the first and the basic importance. The second, it is important to study about price because customers have alternatives, so many of choices with different brands, with different varieties. So whenever you think of setting your price, you need to understand what choice or alternative does the customers has. Whenever there is higher and larger alternatives or choices, then eventually your price will be lower. So you need to understand these issues. Does the customers have alternatives or any other options than my products? So you need to think about it. When you say alternatives, it means other competitors, or could the individuals or the customers produce the products themselves. uh, I believe you have discussed this issue in service marketing when you discuss about expectations and perceptions. The third importance is uh, the other mixes, meaning the product, the placement, the promotion, the physical evidence, the people, the process, they all produce costs. But price is the only element that uh, influences your revenue, that provides you with revenue. And when we discuss about pricing, uh, the organizations consider about profit, they think about profit. So whenever you think of price, it has a direct relation with that of the revenues. Eventually it will affect your profit, so you have to think about your price match often. Whenever you think of products, whenever you think of placement, whenever you think of promotion, they directly link us with costs, not revenue. Of course, eventually it will make your profit higher or lower, because profit is uh, revenue minus cost. So but price directly links with the revenue, and this will determine your survival in the market. So that is the third reason why you need to study about price. The fourth is that when you think of price, uh, It is flexible, of course, and it impacts your marketing strategy directly, and uh, it will affect the demand in that of the sales. For instance, if you put your price, if you set your price higher, uh, then the customers might shift and the demand might decrease for that specific product. If you set your products lower, then the customers might be attracted and the demand might get higher. The reason that I'm saying might is it depends from product to product. For instance, if it is a luxury product, then if you set the price lower, the demand will decrease eventually. Uh, if you set your product higher for luxury product, that the demand will increase. So it depends based on the product, but uh, products will affect and impact your marketing strategy, and it will affect your demand and sales too. The other issue is when you think of price, when, for instance, when the product's demand is getting lower, uh, how we are going to boost the demands? Let's go back to your principles of marketing and let's discuss about types of demand. When the demand is declining, in the declining demand, how we are going to boost the demands? Uh, you basically play in the price. Price will uh, make the demand higher whenever you are in the declining state. So it directly impacts your demand. So for these basic reasons, you need to study about price and you need to understand about price and you need to know how you are going to set your prices right. So in the retail context, when you are a retailer or when you think as a retailer, when you set your price, when you determine your price, you have to consider these basic four factors. Number one is competition in the industry or in the markets. Uh, Whenever there is higher competition, by the way, when you say competition, we have two types of competitions: direct competitors and indirect competitors. When you say direct competitors, it means that uh, you are with the same or similar level to that specific competitor. They provide similar products, they serve similar markets, they set similar prices, they transfer similar message and so on. Not necessarily the same, but similar things. So this is known as direct competitors. When you say indirect competitors, these competitors doesn't serve somehow similar markets as you do, but they are in a position to serve the market that you are serving. uh, just to make it clear, let's take hotels as an example. We have five-star hotels, we have four-star hotels, three-star hotels, and so on. Uh, so five-star hotels, the hotels that are ranked as five-star hotels are known as direct competitors. Uh, when you think of five-star hotels and there are four-star hotels, four-star hotels are indirect competitors. So you can differentiate it in this way. So you have to think of competition as a retailer, meaning whenever there is, there are large competitors, whenever there is competition in the market, then the price will fluctuate based on that. Whenever there is higher competition in the market, your price will be somehow lower. When the competition is low, then your price will get higher. So competition is one thing that you need to consider. Price sensitivity is the other concept that you need to consider. But before we discuss about price sensitivity, let's discuss about the other issues, because these two issues are a little bit simpler to understand. So when you say cost of production, cost of acquiring the product. So in terms of retail, when you say product, I mean manufacturer, when you are a manufacturer, it's simple. When you say cost, it means the transportation cost, the delivery cost, it is the salary, it is the manufacturing cost, it is other costs. But when you think of retail, there is no manufacturing cost. So the costs are fixed cost and variable cost, but you have transportation cost. If you are going to deliver the products yourself to your retail store from the manufacturers, so you have transportation costs, you have loading and unloading costs, you have salaries to pay for your employees, you have a rent to pay, you have different utilities like the electricity, you have other telephone bills and so on. So these are the costs that you are going to consider in setting the price. The higher the cost, then the higher the price. The lower the cost, the lower the price. So let's see two uh, examples how cost directly influences your price. Let's take two locations, Bole and that of Mercato. So the same product, the same brand, which is sold around Bole and around Mercato, will have different costs. The rent that you pay when you are in Bole and the rent that you pay when you are at Mercato is different. So when you go to when you purchase a product from Bole, you might get higher price because of the cost that the retailer incurs. When you purchase a similar product, the same product in Mercato, then the price will be lower. So the cost will have a direct relation with that of price. Legal constraints. Sometimes the government will set a certain rule and the constraints on your price. For instance, when you purchase alcoholic beverage, because of tax issues, uh, there are legal constraints. Of course, tax is related with legal, and this might affect your cost that you will be incurring, so it will affect your price. So legal constraints directly affects your price too. At one time, the government sets the price of a certain products to be sold. For instance, the government sets a soft drink to be sold at a certain price. So this will affect your price, meaning you cannot pass the maximum limit that the government sets. Okay, so let's discuss about price sensitivity. When you discuss about price sensitivity, it is about from the customer's perspective, how sensitive the customers are in fluctuating or in increments and decrements of the price basing the products. For instance, uh, when a price of a bread increases by, let's say, 20 or 30 cents, the customers might feel the increment of that product. But when there is an increment in, uh, let's say, electric bills for 1 bar or 2 bar, the customers might not feel that price change. So when you say price sensitivity, it is about customers, how sensitive the customers are to the price changes. So you need to discuss about these four issues. You need to understand these four components in setting your price. So so competition, we have discussed about these issues. uh, retailers can reduce price competition in these three techniques. For instance, the retailers might develop a line of private label uh, in the merchandise. So this is one. And the second is you might negotiate as a retailer. You might negotiate with uh, the manufacturers for exclusive distribution rights, meaning if you are the only one who is eligible to distribute those products, then you will reduce the impact from competition. And then so as a vendor, if you can acquire unique products for the retailers, then again you can reduce the impact of competition. So these are the three mechanisms that will help you as a retailer to reduce the impact or the effect of price competition. So uh, we have two basic issues, let's say, as theoretically and as a practice. So theoretically, retailers maximize their profit by setting the prices on price sensitivity, customers, cost, and so on. As a theory we have discussed about this slide, they will consider the competition, the price sensitivity, and so on. But in reality, this is not the case. This might not be the case, and because they have to discuss about a lot of products. I believe you are familiar with the term SKUs. Okay, so stock keeping units, right? So uh, they will hold a lot of products, and they might not have time to discuss about competition, price sensitivity, and other issues, but they'll focus on a certain uh, prices, and they will adjust the prices based on the sensitivity of the customers. So retail pricing strategy, when you discuss about retail pricing strategy, you have different retail price strategies. Cost-based pricing or markup pricing is the simplest and widely used pricing strategy. So when you say cost plus pricing or markup pricing, uh, it is a calculation of costs and profit margins and adding the profits margin on the cost of merchandise or on the costs. So we have different issues that you need to consider. For instance, you need to think of fixed costs and that of variable costs. The fixed costs include the rent, salary of employees, equipments like that of computers, and others. So when you say fixed cost, it is a cost that you will incur regardless of sales. When you say variable cost, it varies based on the merchandise that you are going to say. Cost of merchandise and transportation, utility, and so on are considered as a variable cost. For instance, if you purchase 20 units of product and 50 units of product, the cost will vary based on the quantity that you are going to purchase. In here, when you say cost of merchandise, it means quantity of purchase. Transportation is also variable cost, and utilities, different utilities like that of electric bills, telephone bills, water bills, and so on. So you have to discuss about fixed costs and that of variable cost. In general, it is known as total costs when you add the fixed cost and that of the variable cost. Again, you need to think of your quantity of purchase or quantity of merchandise that you'll be purchasing. So this is the other factor you need to consider in calculating or in setting cost-based pricing. The third is profit margin. So how much profits will you wish to get by selling that specific products? So after identifying these three basic things, this is the formula that you are going to use. Retail price, from now on we will be representing as RP. So retail price is equals to cost of merchandise, meaning the unit cost of merchandise, unit total cost of merchandise, divided by 1 minus profit margin percent. So most of the time profit margin is described in percentage. So when you compete in this way, you will get the retail price. As an example, I'll give you two examples to discuss about how we are going to calculate cost-based pricing. Assume that a retailer incurs a cost of $100, meaning the unit cost. When you say the unit cost, I mean by the fixed cost plus the variable cost, unit fixed cost plus units variable costs. So it is $100 and plans profit margin of 40%, meaning the retailer assumes 40% of the cost. So how much will be the retail price? It is simple. You just use the formula that I have provided you. The cost of merchandise will be 100. Profit margin will be 40%. So when you compete, it is $100 divided by 1 minus 0.4, because 40% should be converted into decimals. So the retail price will be $166.67 in approximation. So the profit that the retailer will get is $166.67 minus that of the cost that the retailer incurs in acquiring the product. Then that retailer will acquire $66.67. So you can compete the retail price in these ways. We have not seen how you are going to use the quantity of merchandise at this example, but in the next example we will discuss how you are going to use the profits, I mean the quantity to calculate your retail price. So in here the issue that you need to know is about markup price and what markup price is. And then we have two types of markups. We have initial markups and maintained markups. I'll come to this issue, but let's discuss about markup percent, because in here we have discussed about profit margin. Profit margin means markup. We have said cost-based pricing or markup pricing. So the profit margin is known as the markup. The other name for profit margin is markup. So when you say markup or markup percent is a markup as a percentage of the retail price, meaning you can calculate it in this formula. When you say markup, or MP is equals to retail price minus cost of merchandise divided by retail price. If you see the first example, the cost of merchandise is 100 and the retail price is 166.67 in approximation actually. So the retail price is 166.67 minus the cost of merchandise is 100. So when you compute this, the markup price will be 40% in approximation, because we took the retail price in approximation. This markup price will be 40% in approximation, but if you use the exact number of the retail price, you will get exactly 40%, which we have set in this example. So we can calculate markup percent as retail price minus cost of merchandise divided by retail price. So when you say markups, we have two types of markups: initial markup and that of maintained markup. When you say initial markup, it is the retail price initially set for the merchandise minus the cost of merchandise. But when you say maintained markup, it is the actual sales that is realized by the retailer, because the retailers might discounts the retail price from the original, from the initial prices. So this diagram will illustrate and will make things simple in understanding the initial and maintained markup. For instance, let's say the initial retail price of the product is $1 and the cost of merchandise is 60 cents. So when you decrease one, meaning the initial retail price, from the cost, the margin, the profit that you will get as a retailer will be 40 cents. But for different reasons, the retailer might deduct 10 cents from the initial retail price, meaning you might sell to a retailer for 90 cents instead of $1 or $1. So the margin will be 30 cents instead of 40 cents. So when you say initial markup, it is the margin that you will get by selling for initial retail for the intended price. But when you reduce the price for different reasons, then you will get the maintained markup. You can calculate the maintained markup percent using the calculation that we have used in here, so you can check it for yourself whether it is 30% or not. So this is about cost plus pricing. So we need to discuss about markups and so on in using cost plus pricing or cost based pricing. The reasons for taking marks down, or the reason for decreasing or reducing the price, is that it is to get rid of slow moving items or obsolete products or uncompetitive products from your retail store. For instance, you might see in some retails they say discount or on sales. So it is just to get rid of slow moving items or obsolete items, meaning outdated items or uncompetitive products in the market. So this is one reason for you to reduce from the initial intended price to the lower price. The second reason is to increase sales and promote merchandises. You might decrease your prices to sell more. We have said, if you remember, when we discuss about the objectives of pricing, we have said here we go, market share, right? Increasing the market share. Whenever you think of increasing the market share, you are going to use market penetration pricing, meaning you are going to lower your prices. So the other reason for marks down is to get sales, to increase the sales and to promote your merchandise. The third reason is that to generate cash, immediate cash or short-term cash or sales or profit, so that you can buy other merchandises from that profit. The fourth and the last one is to increase traffic flow, or to increase customers, or to increase foods in the retail. So these are the reasons why you are going to take the marks down. Marks down, we have discussed about it in the third chapter in the previous lectures. So whenever you are marked down, or whenever you are trying to liquidate the marked down merchandise, specifically if it is to slow moving item or obsolete or uncompetitive merchandise, these are how you are going to get rid of it. Number one, you are going to place the merchandise on internet auction, meaning on bids on the auction, so that you can acquire lots of customers that will purchase your product. So that is the first mechanism to get rid of your merchandise. The second is you are going to sell the merchandise that you have for other retailers, so that you will no longer have that uncompetitive product and you will purchase more competitive product. The third is you are going to consolidate the unsold merchandise with other products, or you might give it as a charity for charity, or you might carry the merchandise over the next season, meaning if the product is seasonal, you are going to wait for competitors to sell their products and to get to stock out, so that you will sell your merchandise in the next season. So these are the basic options for you to get rid of your merchandises, meaning when they are obsolete or when they are uncompetitive products. So this is the second example for you to discuss, cost-based pricing. I suggest you to pause the video lecture and compute the equations yourselves before you see the solutions ahead. So it says, assume that a retailer sells three types of products, namely t-shirts, jackets, and jeans, and these are the detailed figures of the costs, the quantities to be purchased, and the profit margins. If you remember, we have said price is complicated in retail because they might have a lot of SKUs. So because of this reason, the price calculation in retail will be a little bit complicated. So based on this, for rent, that retailer incurs $1,000, and for salary, that retailer incurs $500. For t-shirt, when they purchase a t-shirt, the retailer incurs $5,000. For jackets, $45,000, and for jeans, $100,000. These are the totals, and the retail purchases 100 units of t-shirt, 300 units of jackets, and 500 units of jeans to make a profit, or with a profit margin, or with the markup percent of 50, 40, and 30 for the three products. So when you calculate RP, meaning the retail price, you are going to use the same formula. Retail price is cost of merchandise divided by 1 minus profit margin percentage. So cost of merchandise for t-shirt, it is 5,000 the total, but you have to calculate the unit cost. So what you are going to do is you are going to divide 5,000 with 100 units, then you will get $50 per unit. So this will be the unit cost for t-shirts. The same for jacket, you are going to compute it as 45,000 divided by 300, then you will get $150 for jacket and $200 for jeans. So this is the unit variable cost of merchandise, but you need to know the fixed costs, because when you calculate cost of merchandise, we meant by total unit cost of merchandise. So unit fixed cost will be approximately $2. It is about 1.6 something, but let's make it 2 for calculation and discussion purposes. So the unit cost, the unit fixed costs will be $2. So the profit margin is shown as usual, 50%, 40 and 30%. So when you calculate retail price for t-shirt, you are going to add $50, which is the unit variable cost, and $2, which is the unit fixed cost, which will be $52 with a profit margin of 50%. That means 1 minus 0.5. Then you are going to sell the t-shirt for $104. Jacket, the same thing, the same formula. You are going to use the same concepts, and then you are going to sell $253.33. For jeans, you are going to sell it for $288.57. So this will be the retail price of the merchandises or the products. So therefore, when you calculate the profit that the retailer incurs by selling these three merchandise items, the retailer will get $54 of profits for t-shirt, $153.33 by selling jackets, and a profit of $88.57 for jeans. So this is how you are going to calculate if you are using cost-based pricing or markup pricing. The second strategy is known as rates of return pricing or target return pricing. In short, it is known as TRP. So when you use rate of return pricing or target return pricing, it is a method when you set your price by adding a markup that will produce a predetermined return on investment, and this is the formula for TRP. TRP is equals to unit cost plus desired return multiplied by invested capital divided by unit sales. So when you compute this, let's say a retailer invested 2 million in the retail venture, and he expects a return or an earning of 20%. So when you calculate these things, you need the unit cost and the expected sales, of course. So when you compute these figures, you will get 28. TRP will be 28. The concept in here is the retail will sell all the merchandises in the allocated time, meaning the merchandise of 50,000 units will be sold with 28 dollars, right? So this is known as TRP, rate of return pricing or target return pricing. The third is everyday low pricing or EDLP. So when you say EDLP or everyday low pricing, it means you will charge the customers lower price every day or with that time compared to your competitors. So the advantage of EDLP is it will build loyal guarantees with low price for customers, and it will have lower advertising costs because the customers will do the advertisements. There is a word of mouth, so you will incur lower advertising costs. So this is the advantage of using EDLP or everyday low pricing. The other pricing strategy is known as high-low pricing, meaning higher profits, and then you'll have price discrimination, meaning that you will discriminate the prices for the customers. Of course, we have three types of discrimination first degree, second degree, and that of third degree discriminations. You can read about these discrimination types for increasing your knowledge. So other prices includes odd pricing. We have psychological pricing. When you use odd pricing, it means you will use odd numbers to set your price. For instance, you might use 99 or 91 or 93 instead of using uh, even numbers, so it is known as odd pricing. When you say psychological pricing, instead of charging $100, it is better to set your price as $99.99. Of course, they might not return 1 cent, but no, uh, it will create confidence on customers to purchase your product. So it is known as psychological pricing. Sometimes it is known as promotional pricing, but promotional pricing is of course other pricing strategy. And then we have value-based pricing. It is based on the value that the product and the retailer provides for the customer. The higher the value, the higher the price. The lower the value, the lower the price. We have competitor-based pricing or competition-based pricing. This pricing you will set it based on the competitors. Whenever the competitors set higher price, then you will set higher price. Whenever the competitor sets lower price, you will set a lower price. So it is known as competitor based pricing. And then we have leader pricing, meaning you will be the market leader in that industry, and it is known as leader pricing. You will set the price instead of the competitors. And then we have bundle pricing. So when you say bundle pricing, it is when you set your price for a product in packets, meaning you will have a package of a certain product. Whenever they purchase those products, you will set a different price. For an example, instead of buying uh, deodorant alone, sometimes the retailers will pack deodorants and that of uh, other items, other similar items, so that the price will be lower than purchasing the products individually. Meaning, when you purchase three products, for example, when you purchase deodorants and then uh, perfumes and hand wash individually, the price might be a little bit higher, but the retailers will pack these three products and sets the price. So it is known as bundle pricing. Of course, we have other pricing strategies too. You can read about it in your handouts and in the reference materials provided. The other issue for today uh, lecture is legal and ethical pricing issues. So price discrimination is one thing, and then predatory pricing. We have other issues that you need to consider. When you say predatory pricing, it means setting the cost, I mean the price below the cost of production or cost of acquiring the product. We have said when we start about price, uh, about surviving, when we discuss about survival objective, you cannot set the price lower than your costs because you will be bankrupt. But sometimes the retailers set their price lower than the costs so that to drive the competitors out of the business or out of the market. So it is known as predatory pricing, and it is illegal as well as unethical. we have resale sale price maintenance. So this one will be set by the manufacturers or the producer. The producers will suggest a retail price, and the retailers will set the price based on the manufacturer's suggestion. So it is known as MSRP, or manufacturers suggested retail price. Again, this is illegal in some countries. Horizontal price fixing is another one. So when you say horizontal price fixing, it is when retailers agree between themselves to set and fix the prices for the product. So it is known as horizontal price fixing or price fixation. And then we have bait and switch tactics. So when you say bait and switch tactics, it means that the retailers advertise their product with lower price, lower than the normal price actually, and then that's the bait. After that, when the customers enter to the store, they will sell higher priced models. So it is known as baits and switch tactics. So it is unethical game. We have scandal and posted prices. So scanned price is below the posted price. So these are the legal and ethical issues that you need to consider as a retailer and as a marketer in setting your price. So in the next class, we'll be discussing, in the next lecture, we'll be discussing about retail distribution. Stay safe and thank you very much.